very stubborn person. When I would ask people questions, they wouldn't know, or they give me answers that didn't make sense to me, and I would continuously justify me continuing on. So Hashem decided that, okay, you're not going to go and become religious the traditional way, so I'll make you religious the most popular way. In our generation, the most popular way of getting religious, does anybody know what it is? People are not religious and all of a sudden become religious. What's the most popular way? Think about it for a second.
Out-of-body experience.
Not that many people have it.
True.
A lot more people are becoming religious than people that are having out-of-body experience. So why are most people doing tshuva?
The proof in the Torah. Like the
Yes, proof, but why do they care? When do people look for Hashem? When it's good times or bad times?
Bad times.
That's the most popular way. Problems. People have problems, they become religious. Rich person, like we said before, rich person doesn't look at Shemaim and say thank you. Rich person usually looks in the mirror and says thank you. Poor person is crying to Hashem and saying, please help me. Can't look in the mirror, he can't even afford the mirror. He's looking for help. So Hashem started sending me problems. Young millionaire starts getting problems. All of a sudden, everything that I used to touch used to turn to gold. Now everything that I touch is turning into ashes. All the deals that seemed like they were the best deals in the world start going bad. Problems. I'm still not listening. I'm still not changing. More problems. More money lost. Friends turn to enemies. I'm still not listening. I'm still not looking up. Which reminds me of a story, a famous story, happened about 20 years ago or so, in Tel Aviv. There was a guy that made about $3 million, which at the time in Israel is considered a lot of money. And he wasn't religious, and he wanted to invest this money. You know, when you have money, you need to make the money go to work. So it works for you, and you make more money. Just as the Gemara says, you give someone 100, he wants 200. You give him 200, he wants 400. It never ends, which means that the desire of the rich is much higher than the desire of the poor. Meaning the guy that's poor, the guy doesn't have that much. Middle class guy, makes $50,000, $60,000 a year. All he really wants is $50,000, $60,000. He has what he has, that's it. The guy that has 10 million, for him it's not going to be enough until he gets another 10 million. Which means that he feels, technically, it doesn't make sense, but it is a real way, he actually feels poorer than the guy that has 50,000. Because he needs more. So the guy invests he's looking for an investment of $3 million, and he goes into this real estate office, and they tell him, listen, we're building these 2 big towers, and if you want, with $3 million, you can buy the 17th floor. He looks at the project, goes, no, not for me. I need something else, more and more interesting. Calls around. One day he gets in touch with an old friend of his from school who lives in Romania, and tells him, listen, I have a thing for you. If you have money, I have a thing for you. Well, what do you have? You have a big lot of land in Romania. And it costs just about $3 million, and I promise you the government's going to buy it. I have a feeling the government's going to buy it, they're going to pay you a lot of money for it.
Why wouldn't he sell it?
Why?
If he has it, why wouldn't he sell it to the government?
No, he's not. He's just a broker, meaning he's connecting the seller and the buyer. So the guy agrees, he invests all of his liquid money into this land. And he's expecting that the government is going to buy the land from any day now. 1 month passes, 2 months pass, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, a year and a half, nothing happens. Now he doesn't have a business anymore like he used to have. He sold everything, which means the money is not coming in anymore. But the bills are still just as high. He starts borrowing money from people, saying that, listen, I'm eventually going to sell this land, I'm going to pay you back. But more time passes, and he hasn't sold the land, and the broker is not answering the phone anymore. This is a problem. He gets a letter in the mail from the IRS in Israel. It says that we've double-checked your taxes and confirmed that you owe $17,000. And in Israel, it's different than America. In America, if you don't pay your taxes, they just send you more letters. And you don't pay your taxes, and they send you more letters. And, eventually, if you continue to ignore them, you can get in trouble. But it takes a while. And even after you get in trouble, you get a lawyer. If you have enough money, you get away with it. IRS in America is strong, but, if you're smart, you don't mess with them. But nonetheless, they're civil. In Israel, it's very different. In Israel, if you owe money to the government, they come to your house and they take your stuff. They come to your house and they start taking your television and your carpet and your furniture. And this happens every day. Me'aklim. They just come and they take your stuff. If you don't pay your water bill, they come and they take stuff that's worth as much as the water bill is. Doesn't matter that they evaluate themselves. So the water bill may be, let's say, $500. They're going to take $5,000 worth of stuff. Because they say, no, maybe you overpaid. It's $500. You start taking your stuff. Unless you come up with the money, you're not getting your stuff back. It's very different IRS over there. So this guy, when he got this letter for $17,000, he got pretty scared. So what do you do when you're scared and you need money? You go to borrow money. But none of the people that he knows are going to lend him any more money because he already borrowed from them. He can't pay them back.
He wasn't getting rent from the property?
No, it was just land.
Oh, just land.
It was just land that he was going to sell it to the government. And eventually, they're going to build on it. And the broker now is not even answering the calls. So, he finds out from someone he knows that there's a company in Tel Aviv that lends something called hard money. Hard money is like money with high interest. Where is it? It's in so-called building on the 17th floor. Where is it? It's exactly the place that he was supposed to buy a couple of years ago with the $3 million. So he goes to the 17th floor and he's looking around. He's like, I should have owned all of this. All of these people should be paying me rent. He goes there. He borrows $25,000. He leaves the office, but he looks around and he's very upset. He says, instead of owning this entire floor and getting rent from all these nice companies, I own this waste of land that's not paying me anything. I lost all my money. He says, well, you know what? At least while I'm here, let me look around the building. Let's go on the roof. Because the 17th floor is the top floor, or one of the highest floors. So he goes on the roof. And he's looking, he's wondering what's happening, why all this happened. After he cries for a little bit, he decides, okay, let's leave. But he didn't realize that the building was still not complete. So the roof door was only able to be opened from the inside. You couldn't open it from the outside. So now he's stuck on the roof in the middle of the summer in Tel Aviv. Not fun. So he starts screaming, yelling, but nobody can hear him. He's on the roof. So he says, you know what? I have an idea. If I take $100 out of this $25,000 and I throw it on the floor, somebody's going to pick it up. He's going to look up. So he throws $100.
Destroying more and more.
Somebody sees the $100, puts it in their pocket, runs. Nobody looks up. All right, $100 is not enough. Let me get a few more people. Takes $500. So he's going to die here. He can't stay on the roof. It's too hot. Takes $500, throws $500. Same thing happens. One guy, two guys, three guys, four guys. That's it. They got the $500. No one looked up. He's still stuck on the roof. At that point, he got so annoyed and so upset, he took the entire rest of the $25,000 and just threw it in the air. And that's, by the way, anger, according to the Gemara, is the equivalent of Avodah Zarah. It's the equivalent of worshipping an idol. One of the reasons is because when we get angry, we completely lose sense of all reality.
So what is he supposed to do?
Right. We'll see what the rest of the story is. Since it's a real story, I can tell you what happened. So now he sends the $25,000 into the air, hoping that at least someone's going to look up. $25,000 lands. $25,000 gets picked up. Not one person looks up. Everyone leaves. Now he doesn't have the money, and he also doesn't have that much more time because he's going to burn up on this roof. On a few more hours pass. He's crying himself. He doesn't know what to do.
Let's say break the door.
And he tries to break the door. He can't. It's a metal door. Tries to break the door. Huh?
If you had a cell phone, why wouldn't you call?
No, this is before cell phones became very popular.
Before anything.
He couldn't scream down.
When you're on that high of a floor in Tel Aviv, there's enough screaming downstairs. But even if you were downstairs screaming, they wouldn't hear you. So of course they can't hear you from 20 floors up. So he's sitting over there, doesn't know what to do. And all of a sudden, he looks to the right and he sees a bucket. A bucket of what's called in Hebrew chatzatz. Chatzatz is like these little rocks that you make cement out of them. He didn't see it before. Maybe I could use this. Takes one of these small little rocks and he throws it down. Pop! Hits somebody on the head. The guy immediately looks up and starts yelling at him, and he can't hear him and he can't hear him. But he's like, great, somebody saw me. He's like, I can't lose this guy. I want to make sure this guy definitely calls the cops, does something. So he takes a whole handful of the rocks and throws it at him. So the guy obviously immediately hits other people, and immediately they call the cops. The cops come up, they take him out. And he tells them the story. He's like, listen, this is what happened to me. And they said, your story is so strange, there's no way you could have made it up. We're going to let you go. They even give him a ride home. And throughout the whole ride home, he's asking himself this one question. Why is it that when I threw the money on the floor, nobody looked up? But as soon as I threw the smallest, tiniest little rock, not only did they look up, yelling, screaming, and then he realized, you have an answer?
Yeah, I think, can I give an
Go
example? I think
Sure.
it's like, God gives you all these blessings, you don't even realize them, you're not thankful.
Zaku Baruch.
But then when God does one thing and you get upset, you get so mad and...
Exactly. Chazaku Baruch. This is exactly what he figured out. He says, when God gave me all this money, I didn't really think
Right.
about anything about it. I thought he was supposed to give it to me. I didn't even know much about him. I didn't look up. I thought that I was making the money. But as soon as I had problems, I got mad at God. As soon as bad things came, I looked up. I blamed him. I have to change it. And he decided at that moment that he's going to do tshuva. Now, tshuva takes time, but the decision is 1 second. It takes time to learn what you need to do, how to do it, who to call, where to go. All these things take time. And even to get to a point where you can even do it, takes time to build yourself up. To learn, Torah takes time. But requires work every day. But the decision to go in the right path, the second. At that second, he decided to do tshuva, and he decided that he's going to find out about what this thing is called Hashem. And as he says, the story is that when he got home, he had bad news to tell his wife, and he was so upset with himself and how he used to behave, and now that even the money that he borrowed, he doesn't have, the IRS of Israel is going to come any day and take their stuff. They even took the laser. The green laser that they took that from him also. I used to be a kid too. So now, he's sitting in his office in his house, and all of a sudden he gets a fax. So this dates the story. You now realize how old the story is. People don't really use faxes anymore. He gets a fax. Call me right away, I have good news. Who is it from? It's from this broker that hasn't answered the phone in almost a year. He calls the broker answers the phone. The guy's, immediately, he doesn't even let the broker talk. He's immediately yelling at him. Why didn't you answer the phone?
Wait, you said there's no phones at this time.
It's home phones.
Yeah, you really?
That's really problem right inside a Tesla.
They're home phones. They didn't have lasers, though. They didn't have lasers. So he calls him. He yells at him for about good 20 minutes. The broker says, "He finished?" He goes, "Okay, now I'm finished." He goes, "Okay. Good news is the government wants to buy your land for $30 million."
Wow.
Boy.
And this person continued with the promise that he made that very day. Did complete tshuva, gave a lot of tzedakah, and spent the rest of his life learning Torah.
From 3 million to 30 million?
When governments want something, it doesn't matter how much money they're going to pay for it because it's other people's money anyway. Governments don't actually work, they just collect or print. So the guy realized the truth, he woke up, he got the test.